I just saw this and thought, wow, this is great. You know, you can assay crushed material 400 or 500 grams in a jar. You could do multiple jars. You don't have to pulverize. And with me coming from a background that's extensively in highly heterogeneous mineralization, i.e. stuff full of coarse gold, this whole concept of being able to move away from nasty little 30 to 50 gram fire assays and move into, 500 kilo, 2 kilo, 3 kilo, it just makes perfect sense.
From your perspective, I mean, what differentiates those companies that are interested in change or interested in progress, and those companies that like to really kind of sit and watch and make sure that something's being thoroughly tested before they come on board?
I see excuses of anything from, no, we don't want to, we've been doing this for 10 years, we don't want to change, through to, oh, that's going to cost us more money.
And we always find that, you can find any excuse to not adopt a new technology. Like, there's always going to be a reason. Doesn't matter how strong the evidence is, there can always be something or someone who just says, no, I'm not willing to do it. Do you find that you still have that conversation with people around photon assay in particular, where they don't yet see it as a proven method?
It's going to probably depend on the size of the company and who has the most influence. I mean, I've certainly had conversations with juniors, and it's been very much around, well, no, we're quite happy with the way we're using fire assay. We don't really want to change. Why would we want to change? Oh, if we change now, we've got to go and assay all our previous 10,000, re-assay all our previous 10,000 samples.
Which seems like an overreaction.
100%. Yes, of course.
I think one of the things that I sort of looking back was interesting to reflect on was the journey we went through trying to bring a new technology to market and seeing who adopted it first. And definitely those really early adopters were the sort of the mid-tiers. If I look at the work we did, we've done with Barrick, or more recently with Newmont, getting them sort of on side, and it's, perhaps not unreasonably, they wanted to test it across all the deposits around the world. Not just see that this is a niche technology for one or two deposits, but they can.
And they've got the funds to do so, to do that rigorous testing, which is also what helps convince the smaller companies that it's gone through rigorous testing, because they're expecting that a Newmont and a Barrick would do the work before transitioning across.
Yes. We sort of started off with this question around, if paraphrasing, if it isn't broke, why should you fix it?
If you're looking at optimizing effectively or into assaying process, which I guess is our key focus today, then really it's about making sure your QA QC is done, it's in process. So that's CRMs, blanks, all the duplicates, exactly right.
Practically, I mean, if you look at the whole chain from the initial collection of samples through to your final QC processes, from your experience, where do things most often go wrong? Where do things tend to break?
It's often actually the human error. Swapping things, mucking things up, getting the wrong number on the bag. We've all seen CRMs get muddled up. We think it's CRMA, but in fact it's actually CRMB or whatever.
And how do people deal with that? I mean, does that call for automation? Does that call for better processes, better training, or what does doing it better look like?
Automation where possible. The introduction of barcodes has obviously had a great improvement of things where you can actually scan. It loads it automatically. I mean, any kind of automation is going to help. I first saw photon assay back in about 2017 with doing some work with Novos.
Really brand new then.
Really brand new then. And look, I just saw this and thought, wow, this is great. You can assay crushed material 400 or 500 grams in a jar. You could do multiple jars. You don't have to pulverize. And with me coming from a background that's extensively in highly heterogeneous mineralization, i.e. stuff full of coarse gold, this whole concept of being able to move away from nasty little 30 to 50 gram fire assays and move into 500 kilo, 2 kilo, 3 kilo, it just makes perfect sense.
What data would you be looking to bring together to present, to say, look, I think we've got an issue here, we've got a problem there?
Making the assumption it's the rig to assay process in some way, or perhaps could be sampling could obviously be sampling in the plant. Yeah. Then I think you need to jump on that. Your QC data. What in the QC data is telling you there needs to be improvement.
Do the processes themselves get reviewed? I'm assuming when a new operation is set up, somebody comes in and decides what the sampling protocol is going to look like, and the assay protocols, and that whole rig to lab chain. Does that get reviewed as operations continue, or?
Every year they do a mineral resource estimate a mineral resource statement and an ore reserve statement, particularly obviously if they're operating. And at that point, you know, the QP, the CPQP, before she signs off on that, you know, is going to should be delving into the data because they're putting their name to that. I mean, it's all right finding a problem, but you've got to actually propose a solution and cost that solution.
Yep.
You know, you want to be able to say, well, if I'm going to spend an extra $500,000 on sampling and assaying, is that going to allow me to mine another 10, 20,000 ounces of gold more efficiently? That would be really fantastic. At the end of the day, there's no such thing as a generic sampling process. The sampling process that you go for needs to fit the mineralization style.